It's time for another edition of Coach's Corner with women's basketball coach Matilda Mossman. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman, University of Tulsa women's basketball, and you're right in the midst now of the American Athletic Conference season. Got a nice win at home last week, and then obviously you knew you'd have some trouble at South Florida ranked team. Yeah,
Memphis at home. I think the big thing there was their leading scorer, Cheyenne Creighton, was averaging about 15 a game and double-figure rebounding, and we were able to hold her to one point in the first half. So that was huge. But I thought defensively our team started playing better. I think after the Houston game, we've just seen a big difference in the defensive play of our team. We still haven't rebounded extremely well, but I think that's coming. I like the way our kids have continued to hang in there. No matter what the circumstances, they've continued to come back the next day and be aware, be locked in on what we're doing in practice and what we're needing to do to get ready for the next game.
And in the Memphis game, you'll hold them to 34% shooting. So is that intensity? Is that kind of getting it and getting into the system better, or what?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, our problem all year long has been allowing too many dribble drives and allowing people to get to the free throw line. And Memphis got to the free throw line 16 times, but so did we. And, we've had a lot of games this year where the opponent got to the free throw line double-digit times, and we maybe got there 3 times or 5 times. And so our goal against Memphis was to attack them and try to get to the free throw line. They only had, I think, 9 players healthy right now. And so, it was important for us to try to get some of those guys with a couple of fouls in the first half. And we did that with Bria Elmore. She did pick up her second foul early in the game and had to go out. And that makes a difference not just in taking away her scoring, but also she's a really good teammate to Cheyenne Creighton. And so it took away probably their best passer into their post player, took her out of the game. So I thought that we did a great job in terms of our kids executing the game plan and getting to the line and trying to get them in foul trouble a little bit.
And Coach, you got good play from your perimeter. Erica Wakefield 13, Alexis Galden with the 13 as well. So you had good play from guards.
We did, and Lex and Erica have kind of been consistent all year long, and we had a lot of different scoring down the line. It wasn't like those 2 scored and nobody else did. So if we can continue to have 3 or 4 other guys with 4 points, 6 points, 8 points, and still get 2 or 3 in double figures, that certainly helps us.
And rebounding is always a concern. You out-rebound them by 1.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise. 14 of them were offensive rebounds. And, again, our guys haven't stopped competing. That's been the good thing. They've competed, they've played hard, and they've done what we asked them to do.
So how important was it to get that win, to get to 1-1, approaching a very difficult stretch in your schedule?
Well, you go back to the Houston game, and we had beaten them, I think, 9 straight times. And to go down there and really we didn't feel like we played extremely well. And, Houston has something to do with that, of course. But that was disappointing to go down there and not get that first conference win. But because our league is so tough, and you've got to get the ones that you're supposed to get. And, Houston has improved over last year. They're still going to win some games in our conference. And we're going to at least have the chance to have them back at home later in the year.
So you go on the road, and this is a tough place to play under any circumstances. It's South Florida in Tampa. They're ranked, I think, 22nd. So you go up against them. You knew you were going to have a hard game, or this is going to be a tough game.
Yeah, Kit Laxa for them had 4 30-plus point games. Really good 3-point shooter. She's about 6'1". Maria Yepperson, another 6'1" player, excellent 3-point shooter. They can put 4 people on the floor who can all shoot the 3. And then Tamara Henshaw, their post player, she doesn't shoot the 3, but she sets a lot of screens to get those guys open. And so, unfortunately for us, right out of the box, Kit takes the first shot of the game, and actually this one was a 2-point shot. And then 2 or 3 possessions later, we get confused on a switch, and she's wide open for a 3. Well, she has the first 8 points of the game all by herself, but the score at that point is 8-4, and so we're still in it. But then in the first quarter, we really struggled to shoot the ball. I think we shot 27% in the first quarter, and I thought we did a great job offensively. I thought we executed well. It's just you have to be able to knock down those shots. And so, unfortunately for us, we didn't in the first quarter. Came back in the second quarter. All of a sudden, we're shooting 50%. Third quarter, we shoot 41%. Fourth quarter, we tie them in the fourth quarter. We only lose by 3 in the third quarter. It's just that second quarter where things really got away from us.
Yeah, and you mentioned, of course, Laxa and Jespersen. They combined for 57 points. Now, it's easy to say, hey, stop those two young ladies. It's harder to do, isn't it?
Yeah, easier said than done, for sure. Laxa's got such a nice-looking shot, such a quick release, and she's only a sophomore. She did not play against us here last year. We only played them the one time last year, and she was injured in that game. And we played within, I think, 6 points of South Florida here last year. So going there, it was a great environment. They play in the Sun Dome. They made it a Saturday night game, 7 o'clock, make sure they had a good crowd. And that crowd was really good. I don't remember what the estimated attendance was, but they were vocal, they were into it. You could feel the energy, and that makes our guys play better too, because you can feel the energy in the arena.
Kendra and Elliott had a good game for you. She had 14. You had 4 players in double figures, so scoring wasn't that much of a problem in this game, was it?
No, it really wasn't. When you can get 4 players in double figures and score 68 points, you like your chances. But unfortunately, ran up against a really good South Florida team. I think the difference was, the foul count kind of got away in the first half. We ended up shooting as many free throws as they did, but early on, it was problematic, and so our guys had a tough time adjusting to that a little bit. But again, our guys competed. They did what we asked them to do. I mean, I'm not unhappy with the way we played.
And obviously, coming off of that, now you get ready for a couple of home games, but not easy. You do have some home games coming up, and you have the midweek bye. So I mean, that creates, I guess, as you get back into class now, a situation where you can work with the young ladies this week, some? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 weeks in here where we come back from Christmas, and so we can just focus on basketball. And now this week we're back in classes, so but at the same time, I think it's easier to kind of get into a routine now. I mean, I've even heard some of our kids say that last week we were at home a lot and they were just bored. There wasn't a lot to do. Right. Not a lot of students on campus. So now we can get back into a little bit of a routine. But yeah, it's nice to have this week off because Temple on Saturday, they're the number 3 team in our conference in preseason, and then we come back Tuesday of next week and we play the number 1 team, not only in our conference but in the country. They're getting close to 90 game winning streak. So how it worked out that we get to play the number 2 team, the number 3 team, and the number 1 team all in a row, I'm not real sure, but I just hope that we can get through these next 2 games stretch and keep our confidence. I mean, that's what you worry about, because when you play the top 3 teams in your league back to back to back, that can wear on you a little bit. So we've just got to continue to be real positive with our guys and try to keep their heads up and at least get through this next week's games.
In a moment, we'll be back and we'll talk about the week coming up for University of Tulsa women's basketball when Coach's Corner continues in a moment.
We are American. We are the spark that ignites. Dazzling, brilliant, intense. We are plugged in with the volume turned up all the way. Because on this court, on any given night, the energy of 5 becomes the power of 1. That's power. We are power.
We're back on Coach's Corner, and Coach, you get ready for a not so busy week with the midweek. Temple coming up on Saturday at 2 o'clock at the Reynolds Center. In the meantime, Temple is very good, and they have a midweek game that they play against East Carolina.
Yeah, they had an overtime game with Memphis last week, and then had Tulane on Sunday night. And Tulane struggled to get to Philadelphia for the game. I know that Tulane ended up having to get a charter and then flew in on the day of the game, played the game, and then flew back home that night. I guess ideally that's a great way to do it, but I think there was a struggle because of the weather, I think, down in New Orleans. But and then it was pretty cold in Philadelphia. So yeah, we're looking forward to that trip in February. But then yeah, they have East Carolina on Wednesday, and it's a home game. East Carolina has played really well this year. They've got a great record, so it'll be an interesting matchup with those two teams. And then to have Temple here at home on Saturday. And you know, Temple's just really athletic. They shoot the ball really well. Fionda Fitzgerald had a double-double against Tulane in points and assists on Sunday. So they're just a really hard team to play because we go back to a team that really likes the dribble drive, but they can also shoot the three.
And then, of course, after the Temple game on Saturday at 2 o'clock at the Reynolds Center, the rugged early schedule continues. And I know you're only looking at the next game, but obviously a little thing called UConn coming up on Tuesday the 17th. Now, the number one team in the nation, they're terrific, and we just want to throw that out to the fans to start thinking about that game because not often number one comes by.
Right, and I think that's always been a good attendance game for us because a lot of people want to come see UConn live. You know, I think a lot of people might think, well, they lost their 1, 2, and 3 players to the WNBA draft, but they're still undefeated this year, and they've had a monster schedule. They've scheduled as well as anybody in the country, and they are still undefeated. So I think everybody probably, you know, we don't want you to not come on Saturday. We need that atmosphere on Saturday against Temple, but then look forward to Tuesday with UConn being in the building and having a chance to see the number one team in the country working on a record of, you know, over 90 in a row. So I think it'll be really exciting.
So don't forget, 2 o'clock Saturday, Tulsa against Temple, and then on the 17th, mark that one down on your calendar as UConn comes to town. Coach, good luck this week.
All right, thank you.
We'll be back next week with another edition of Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman. So long for now.